Right then, there we are live. I'm just going to try and get that lighting situation a little bit better. Right, there we go, we're live. So, today, I'm just going to take my shoes off because I've got my boots on. Today, I'm going to be talking about thinking about the future of your business. I'll let a couple of people join the chat. We've not got anyone watching yet. Yeah, I wasn't going to go live actually, but then I thought it's been a few days since I've done a video, so it might be best to actually go live and just have a chat to you guys. So, last few days, what have I been up to? I've been listing my auction haul. I did go to a car boot yesterday, but it was only... I didn't really want to go to a car boot yesterday because... Oh, no, it's... One second, let me sort this out permanently. Otherwise, it'll just keep falling down. Right, that should be okay. Yeah, so I wasn't going to. We got Smart Reselling in the chat. Hi, Darren. Yeah, I wasn't going to go to a car boot, but then I thought, you know what? I'm going to go to this local one. It was funny actually because the week that I was thinking, oh, I won't go to a car boot, I found out that there's one literally like 5 minutes down the road at a local pub. So yeah, it was kind of odd. It was like, you must go to a car boot this week. So yeah, I had to walk up there because when you've got a car boot that close to you, you can't just not go. So I ended up going to a car boot yesterday anyway. It was terrible. It was on hard standing. There was 2 cars. I knew it wasn't going to be good because that pub there was, it's just like, it's barren, you know, there's hardly ever anyone there anyway, and I've been to a car boot from there before, and there was, again, only a few cars there. I'm not bothered about that. That was totally what I knew it was going to be like, so I didn't even ride that roller coaster, you know, I was fine with that. And I actually thought I would come away empty-handed. I really did. I thought, right, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to come away empty-handed. So I was actually pleasantly surprised when I did get a bag full of stuff, so I was happy with that. I've not got it on hand, it's actually already listed, and that moves me on to talking about what I've been doing over the past few days. So I've been really listing, like, from, I don't know, sort of Thursday, Thursday, Friday last week, I'd say Thursday, I've been really listing that haul. Like, yeah, it was Thursday, because it was the day when I did Thursday Talks. Once I did Thursday Talks, I brought it all back upstairs, and that was it. I was on to listing. So I've done between 15 and 20 listings per day, for Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and today I've already done about 7 or 8. So, yeah, so I'm happy with that. You know, that's an okay number. Really trying to get close to 1,000 listings. I'm on about 967. Yeah, 967, I believe. So, and considering that, like, I think early part of last week, I was on about 920 odd. That's okay, considering I've sold quite a bit, because I've sold quite a bit this weekend as well, actually. Been a really good weekend for me, and that only comes because of listing. But yeah, I've been listing quite a lot, so I've not really thought at all about YouTube, so that's why I've not really done a video. But aside from that, and getting to the title of this video as well, I have been really thinking about the future of my business. And before we get into that, I see a load of people in the chat here, so I'll just say hi. Zach's in there. When's Kaching Club happening? Is it next Wednesday, David? Not this Wednesday, it's next Wednesday, innit? Yeah, first Wednesday of every month. Yeah, next week. It's not this Wednesday coming. Twin Red Dragons is in there. Jason's in there. Regulars are in there. One sec. And David's in there. And Paul's in there. Right, okay. So, getting to the title of this video, I think I titled it something like, I forgot, I literally titled it like a minute ago. It was something like, thinking about the future of your business is important. And it is. And I've been really thinking about it recently. Hi, Southwest Sellers. More so to the point of when I got the auction haul. And oh my god, it's been so easy to list. It really has. It's been so easy to list that auction haul. And it just says to me, again, like I've said in previous videos, since I've been doing the auctions and doing more collectibles and some antique items, as I've said, you know, I really like this stuff. I have a passion for it, and I think it's awesome. And I'm only starting off on the lower value stuff, and I'm already excited about that. And I've burnt through it. I've listed loads of it. It's been so easy to list. It's been so enjoyable to actually get through and research and all that sort of stuff. But it has made me think about the future of my business, and it's made me think, all this stuff I'm listing, I'm passionate about, which is great, and it's the sort of stuff I want to be selling. The problem is, and this is an annoying little problem, is it's got a lower sell-through rate, it's slower selling, and trust me to pick one niche, or one of the only niches really, because a lot of niches are quite high volume, you know, high sell-through. You know, I'm talking video games, toys and games, even clothing's quite good. You know, there's a lot of niches that are actually quite, I'd say maybe books as a whole can be quite slow, but there's a lot of niches that are quite quick selling. It trust me to get passionate about selling something that's really slower selling, you know, really slow sell-through. So that leads me to a problem, and you know exactly what I'm going to say now, is if you've got a slower selling item, you either need to substitute it. If you're in a slower selling niche, you've got to substitute it with some sort of platform or some sort of other side to your business that is quicker selling, or you do what Ken's done, or Scavenger Life, or whoever, you know, people with large inventories, you do it that way. Now, for me, at the current present moment, I can't really have a major large inventory. So, like, you know, I can't have like 5,000-10,000 items. I can have considerably more than I've got now, but not 5,000 or 10,000. I would say maybe another 50% of my inventory, so maybe 1,500, something like that, and I might be then starting to cut off. So the thing with that is, right, I've got this, I'm thinking about the future, and I'm thinking, right, I've got this inventory of, you know, I've got this sort of is my max cut-off point, and I need a bigger inventory than that to make a decent amount of money with antiques and collectibles. I need bigger than 1,500. So, here's the other thing that I've been debating is, do I quit FBA or do I continue with FBA? Question from Darren. Would you consider storage lockers so you could expand your inventory? Do you mean storage like little room? Oh, I know what you mean. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, maybe storage I've debated getting a unit, and I've talked to my mum about it loads. But I just don't know. I'm just not sure about that. One part of me is like, I don't want to leave the house, you know, I like the comfort that selling in my own home gives me, and I am in one respect, but I'm not that demotivated by working at home. I have quite a high level of motivation with that. I do get distracted a little bit, but on the whole, I feel like if I can get an hour to myself or a couple of hours to myself, I can burn through quite a few listings, whether that's on eBay or Amazon. So I'm not kind of one of them people who gets really distracted from working at home. So I don't know, I would consider that, but I kind of want to just stay at home because it's comfortable and it's nice for the time being. Do you use FBA Wizards? Oh god, don't get me started on that. Right, I signed up for it on the recommendation of a supplier of mine, actually. And I signed up for it, and I used it for the 2 days, and I was like, you know, this is okay. I got a couple of items off it, and I sent them in. I think 1 or 2 of them have since sold for a profit, but not for an amazing profit. And I got to the end of it. I think it's a 2-day free trial you get. And there was no button on that site or wherever it was. Was it on the site, or I don't know what it was, but I couldn't find a button that said, cancel your free trial. I actually had to email the guy and say to him, look, I don't want to pay for this subscription. I want to cancel my free trial. And then he said, right, we can cancel that and stuff. But I thought that was a bit shady. I thought, if you're advertising a free trial, and it's like Amazon with Amazon Prime, you have to click the do not continue after you've entered all your card details and all that. And I just don't like that. I think it's a bit shady and stuff like that. I mean, I'm sure that the program's great and all that sort of stuff, but I didn't want to pay the money. I'm I'm like an old-time businessman who doesn't want to spend any money on anything. You know, if I can get away with just scraping through and, you know, doing my best without paying for any service that is more of a want, not a need, you know what I mean? So if I don't need the service, but a lot of people say, oh, it's a good one, I can't get on with it. It's 67 quid a month. Oh my god, 67 quid. I've always like 40 quid a month, but god. And you know, if I don't need the service, I don't want to use it. You know, if I can get by, like, it was funny because Fake Rachel was talking about in her video about using this new app. And it sounds great, this, I forgot what it's called, Neotin or something. I don't know what it was called, but it sounds great from what it is. And maybe at some point in the future, if I was really doing books, I may consider it. But she was this is the thing she was talking about. She was talking about she has to go to the front of the stall, the charity shop, and scan the books, and then go to that. Well, that was funny because that's exactly what I do. And I wouldn't pay, personally, £40 a month for that privilege. I'm sure it's a great app. I'm sure it saves a lot of time. And I'm sure there's a lot of other apps out there that loads of other people use that save time and obviously make your business more profitable. But I just, if I can scrape through, I'll scrape through. So that's like the kind of person, that's it. Neato Scan. It's a book app, but you can search non-books too. See, it sounds like a great app. And as does FBA Wizard, but I'm like the kind of guy who I'll just scrape through doing all the free stuff when I can. And there's certain things. The funny thing is, I'll spend a lot of money on I put a lot of money into something that I've not considered enough. But funnily enough, I won't put a smaller amount of money into something that maybe loads of my friends have recommended, because I like to do things myself. I'm so closed off to other people's opinions. Like, I'll always be like, no, I'm doing it this way because I think I'm right, and I end up 2 months down the line not being right, and then I'm like, oh god, I wish I'd listened to you guys. That's me. But moving away from that now, because that wasn't kind of the point of this video, but yeah, so as I said, FBA, that is gonna be the part of my business that has to do with higher sell through and faster sellers. So what I can do is I can put a fair few hard toys, and like I'll still go to boot sales and still go to auctions and stuff and be looking for hard toys, maybe certain children's books or vintage children's books, and various other things, electronics and stuff like that, and I'll still do that, and that'll be part of my eBay inventory. But doing Amazon FBA in a bigger way, so I was thinking to myself, like, do I quit it now? Because the way it's going in my eyes is geared towards bigger sellers. That's what everyone keeps saying on YouTube. That's what the fees are telling us, really. You need to be a bigger time seller, so you can cope with those fees more, or maybe do a bit more volume. Now, that doesn't mean, when you're a big time seller, that doesn't mean you have a lot of inventory. It just means you're selling on volume. Like, you could have a fairly low inventory of stuff, but you're selling a hell of a lot, and you're just replenishing that inventory loads. And that's what a lot of people get confused about. Like, you say you're a big time seller, but you don't have to be a big time seller and have 50,000 items in your store or whatever. You can be a hellishly big time seller and only have 5, 6, 7, 8, 900, whatever, or even less than that. And that's the confusion I think people get. Like, on Amazon, I think it's going to be more geared towards in the future. This is my opinion, so obviously create your own opinions. But in my opinion, it's going to be big time sellers, but as I say, it doesn't necessarily mean you have a lot of inventory up there. It just means you're selling a lot. So my plan with FBA is to not quite have a large inventory, but certainly have a very, very good turnover. And I can do that with the consoles, and if I'm really scrupulous with the ranking of video games I send in. So that's sort of going to be my faster selling part of the business, which is already there. It's already fine and it's there, but I am going to get a lot of stuff sent back, and I'm going to be a lot more, and I've said this in the past, a lot more strict to what I'm sending in, but also I'm going to be trying to send in more items that that sell quicker. So instead of building an inventory up at Amazon, which is what I was kind of doing for a while, I'm actually going to send in items that I know are going to boom, 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 boom. And a lot of the video games are like that, but there are certain other items I'm still sending in that are a bit more like inventory builder, and they're not really fast selling. So that's going to be my plan with Amazon. That then means that I can have some sort of an income coming from that to substitute the fairly larger inventory on eBay of more slower sellers like antiques and collectibles. But to do what I'm passionate about, to sell what I'm passionate about at the moment, I have to take a little bit of the stuff that I'm maybe not as passionate about, but I certainly don't hate selling. I still like selling, but I can't completely at the moment do antiques and collectibles full on. And I don't know whether I would want to. I do like the hard toys and video games and things like that, and I think I will always do them on my eBay and Amazon side. The other way of doing more antiques and things like that and directing my business more in the way it wants to go is obviously the cabinets and stuff like that I've talked about. But once this sort of big plan I keep talking about pulls off, hopefully, fingers crossed it will. I'm not dependent on it, in my business plan. I'm not dependent on it. That's fine if it happens or it doesn't. But if it does pull off, then that will be a huge shift. It'll be like a paradigm shift. I don't know whether that's the right word. I've just nicked that from Doctor Who, paradigm shift. But it will be a big paradigm shift, and it will turn things on its head. Well, I don't know whether that's the right phrase, actually. But it will turn things all around in my business, in the sense that then my Amazon and eBay won't be as many antiques, and my Amazon won't be antiques anyway, but my eBay won't be very many antiques. It won't be maybe as large an inventory as it needs to be now, and there'll be a lot more variety in terms of income streams for me. So that will be another change in the future. But that's, as I say, it's when or if it happens in a long time. So I'm thinking really long term, but also I'm trying to think in the next few months, what can I do to set plans in place so that then, if this long-term plan doesn't pull off, get pulled off, how will my business be in a better position, even if it doesn't, get pulled off? So, and how will I be able to cope space-wise? How will I be able to cope with Amazon fees better? How will I be able to actually sustain Amazon FBA and still do it through, the restrictions and the fees and stuff like that? Which, maybe a few months back I was really worried about, but now I'm just like, I'm going to attack it in a different way, and I'm going to still do it, because I'm not just going to quit because one thing happens. Like, it's like so many times eBay has put fees up and put new rules and stuff in place. I'm not just going to quit because of that. So, and it was on my mind about Amazon FBA and thinking, is it included in the future of my business, and do I want to quit it? But then I thought, I'm being a little bit melodramatic. I'm being a little bit overdramatic. I think I don't think I need to be that. I don't think I need to be that critical or that strict of my Amazon FBA business. I think there's a future for it. I think there's a future for it for me. So I just think it's in a different way than maybe I wanted it to be. I was maybe thinking that I'd get a larger inventory up there and have do a bit of an inventory builder, but I don't know anymore. I think it's more a lower inventory and faster sell through, and then eBay is my big inventory that is full of like a real variety of stuff. Mainly, as I say, the antiques and stuff, which is what I'm sort of starting with now. Right, let's go through the chat because I've not been through the chat forever. Let's have a look. Paul said, leading on from the FBA Wizard, maybe I need to ditch it. I can't really get anything decent. The thing is, we're paying for stuff. This is a problem. That is a very generalised comment there. The thing is, we're paying for stuff, but this is the problem. The thing is, that's gone a bit funny there. I hope that's okay. It just went a bit laggy. Thing is, we're paying for a service like that. You're constantly thinking, oh God, I've got to make that 67 quid back. Whereas if I go on eBay now, I go on Amazon, or I go on wherever, I can leisurely browse the items and do some sniping without the worry of £100 a month charge or £50 a month charge and trying to make that back. Now, if you can make that back and you've got systems in place and all that sort of stuff, that's great. You don't need to worry about it. But I always get that feel like, oh, well, I've paid this now. Now I have to try and quickly make it back. And then what happens, because you're trying to make that money back too quickly, is your decisions are lacking with rationale, and you get, you make quick decisions, you make rash decisions, and then things might not go as well. I know I did it with my free trial of FBA Wizard. I made a bit of a rash decision, and I probably bought a couple of items that sat for too long and that weren't as profitable. So, because I was like, oh God, I've got this 2 days now of my free trial to see if it's for me, and then I've got to quit. So, that made me have a bit of a rash decision. Get Down with Jim said, Wizard marketed more towards the sellers who want to spend 40k plus a year on stock, not the casual car boot reseller. Yeah, exactly. It's more of a big time RA, FBA, it's not, I don't think it's geared towards, my demographic personally. Right, let's have a look. What about damp, Louisa? I don't get damp. Oh, right, okay, that's just a random chat. Do you heat it in any way? Wizard, only worth it if you have the budget. That's Get Down the Gym. And want to use virtual assistants, prep centres. Wow, yeah, I'm not going to do all that. Are you picking up many board games these days, lad, since the ones you auctioned? Not really. I am going to end up picking them up in auction job lots, that I get from the auction. But since I did a load of auctions to auction a lot of them off, I've been avoiding them quite easily at charity shops, actually. So, it's quite nice just to look at something and then go, well, I don't really want to pick that up. It's like, it might be, I might have done it 2 years ago. It might be a £7 board game, £8 board game, and I look at it and now I'm like, no, I don't need to pick it up. So, yeah, I haven't been picking up a lot of board games, but this is the other problem I'm facing with doing the auctions. Not auctions on eBay, I mean doing the auctions as in like an auction house. You get these big job lots and there's a lot of lower value stuff in them. And it's whether, you can't exactly like bundle it. If you bundle it all up, basically, and then just do an auction job lot on eBay, like, you bundle it all up, miscellaneous stuff, auction it off, you won't get enough money back from the job lot that you purchased. So I'm ending up having to list a lot of lower value stuff. And I know Ken's talked about this before, actually. He talked about it in his sales update last night. That, when you're buying on that scale at auction, you kind of need to take the lower value with the higher value. And it's true. But it is a bit annoying for me, and it feels like I'm going back a little bit on myself, listing this lower value stuff. And it does give me a bit of, what's the word? Like, just a little bit of annoyed when I'm on my phone and I'm listing this, an item that's £5, £6, it makes me a bit sad. No, not sad, but a bit frustrated. That's the word. A bit frustrated that I'm listing that lower value stuff, and I need to find a way round that. I need to think, right, I need to go for these lots where I can see good value in them, and the more higher value lots. But the problem is that takes money to, so, all these things, when you're a reseller, they're constantly on your mind. But I don't know, maybe there are ways of bundling things up. Nothing wrong with the low value stuff ads. It's all money. Yes, it is all money. The problem is, if I can use up, this is my, it all adds up ads. That's funny. This is the problem, right? If I can put, like I got that VHS DVD recorder, I can put that, a 50, 60 quid item in a certain space, right? 50, 60 quid, maybe 70 quid, that sort of stuff, right? If I've got a limited amount of space, like everybody has, I don't care if you've got a God knows how many square foot warehouse, you've still got a limited amount of space at the end of the day. No one has an unlimited amount of space because the world is a finite amount of space. So even if you had the entire world as your storeroom, you still have a finite amount of space. You never have an infinite amount of space. But, right, because I've got a finite amount of space, if I can put that 60, 70 quid item in that space, rather than maybe 10 little commemorative mugs or, I don't know, or little tins or something like that are worth a £5 each, or maybe even less, it just makes sense for me to put that DVD recorder in there. It's one item. I only need to pack one item. Yes, okay, if it's a DVD recorder, it might take a little bit longer to pack, but I'm fairly well established in packing those sort of things now. I've packed quite a lot of Wii Fit boards, DVD recorders, VHS recorders, that sort of stuff. So it doesn't take me as long, but it just feels to me like I want that route rather than all the lower value and higher value. The reason I changed to doing only £10 items, and I've been lacking in that recently, the reason I actually changed for doing only £10 items is because last fourth quarter I was packing all the time and I got sick of it. I absolutely got sick of it, and then I said to myself, right, I'm doing these £10 items or higher, and I started getting into men's coats and things like that, and I was doing a lot of £20 to £40 items then, and that was great because it was like, I've paid 10 quid or I paid 5 quid for this, I've flipped it into 40, it's a man's coat, so I can just, fold it up, put it in a box, bit of bubble wrap, that sort of stuff. Not that you even really need that, but because it's a coat, but I like to put a bit of bubble wrap on the top, bit of bubble wrap on the bottom, even if it is a men's coat, and then close the box up, done. I mean, you could even put it in a poly mail, but the ones I have, they don't really fit, so I like to put it in a box, but, it's like £5 or £10 into 40 quid plus postage, and you're like, oh, it's so easy to pack, nice. But it is, in one respect, it's a space. In one respect, it's a space. In terms of the limit, I know that in 6 months or so I might come up to my limit of space, and then I'll have to get more space. And that, I suppose that's fine. You could just expand. But I want to use the space I've got more efficiently, because you don't actually need a massive large space to do reselling to a really good standard. Like, there's loads of guys who are either part-time or full-time who have got similar space size to me who are doing a lot bigger numbers than me. So I shouldn't need to keep expanding my space to grow the business. I should be able to do it in a more efficient and effective way. And obviously that leads to less cost. If you're expanding your space all the time, you've got a lot of cost. So I don't know, there's that side of it, there's a space side of it is a factor, but it is more my own mental well-being, and it's not that I love packing, like when I've got a few items to do, 5, 10 items I'm okay with. After this weekend, I've got nearly 30 items to pack, and I'm already getting a bit annoyed because later on I've got to pack because I don't want to pack in the morning, because I'm not a morning person. I don't like packing in the morning. So I always like to do it in the afternoon. But I thought I'd come on here very quickly beforehand. But, close to 30 items I'm thinking now, and not all of them are higher value. There's a lot of bread and butter, like, £10, and then there's a couple less than £10 because, as I say, I've been listing a few low value, even below £10 items recently. And it's like, oh, you know, it's just one of them things. It gets me. It might not get someone else. They might be able to pack all day long. And if they have 70 items to pack, they're happy with it. But for me, it gets me. It does. When I've got 30 items, it does get me. Split them up into 2 days. I'd do 15. Send one day. Yes, but no, I never do that. I never do that, Darren. The reason I will explain why is because by the next day, overnight, you've got another 10 or bloody another 5 or something. So, right, I've done it before, and it only makes me less motivated because then I actually have more to do the next day. So I've packed my 15, and I think I've only got 10 or 15 extra to do the next day. But by the time I get round to doing them the next day, I've got even more to do, and I'm like, oh no. So I like to do them all in one hit if I can. I always do my parcel in one hit. And then that's that. So if I've got 30 to do, I will do all 30 today, and I'll bite the bullet and just do it. But that was the reason I sort of changed over to the higher value items, and I want to do the antiques and the collectibles and things like that. But I just don't want to do the lower value side of it. But I know that if I'm buying the lots in auction, there's no way round that. And it's frustrating because I'm like, oh. Unless, the only way to do it is by being a high-end antique dealer, spending £1,000 or 500 quid or 200 quid on each piece, and then flipping it for, double, triple money or whatever. But I've not got my business isn't in that in that position. A lot of your businesses probably aren't in that situation yet. Maybe in a couple of years, 2-3 years, I might be in that situation. I might be able to do that, and I might be able to flip, £100, £200 items, consistently every day into 400 or 500. Well, not every day, but every week at least into 400 or 500 pound. And that would be like the end goal of it, and none of the real lower value stuff. But that wouldn't be on eBay necessarily. I mean, maybe partly would be, but not necessarily just on eBay. And I've got, hopefully, I may have an avenue to do that in the next couple of years, because that's part of my long-term plan. I'm giving away a little hint here. But that could be longer term, but at the moment I've not got that. And I need to think about what I've got now. So, yeah, I mean, as you can see, when you're a reseller, you are constantly thinking about your business. And if you're not a reseller, or you're watching this and you're not a reseller, or even if you're just not a reseller, you kind of don't have that. You kind of, if you've got a job, or you go to college, or you go to high school or uni, once you come back, it's done. You might have a bit of homework or whatever, it's done. But for me, it's like it's every single second of every day I'm thinking about something, even if it's like laid dormant at the back of my mind. I'm still subconsciously thinking about it, and I've always got to hold myself to that, because I need to make plans now every single day to put in place for the months that follow. So, and I'm not saying my plans are great or good or even, mediocre, but what I'm putting in place and the things that I feel might work quite well. Plans change, best laid plans of mice and men and all that. They're going to change, and me, I swap and change like crazy. I jump into new niches like crazy. I just don't care anymore. I'm just like, jump in, But I need to set those plans, and I need to think about it. So I did kind of want to just talk to you guys about how important it is to focus somewhat, not all of the time, but somewhat on your future of your business. Because obviously if you're focusing on the future of your business all the time, you're not worrying about what the present of your business is doing, and what the problems you're incurring now, or the good times that you're incurring now. You're not thinking about that. So you need to be thinking about your present, but you do need to have sort of one eye towards the future maybe. Ads, got to ask, are you really, really tall, or do you have a camera on the floor? No, it's on it's actually on a mug. I'll just stand up. I'm like 6 foot. Whoa. I know that looks like I'm a giant here, but I'm not. I'm only about 5'11", 6 foot, something like that. Do or do not, there is no try. He's 13 foot tall in... Yeah, I just stand up like this. I tower over you. No, I'm only 5 foot 11, 6 foot, something like that. Same height as my dad and my granddad, I think. Very, very similar, anyway. Best laid plans of mice and men is such a nice phrase. It is. I love using it. I loved that movie. John Malkovich is one of my favourite actors. And in that, he was great. I mean, I loved Christopher Eccleston. We watched... Let Him Have It in high school as well for one of our little projects or whatever it is, and I loved Christopher Eccleston in that because, I would have watched him as Doctor Who. Yeah, I would have watched him as Doctor Who, so I knew him from Doctor Who by then. Hi ads, Danielle says, I went from eBay auctions to buy it now. My eBay sales have slowed up. Any tips? Yeah, I mean, if you're doing eBay auctions, obviously the sell-through rate's going to be higher, or most probably if you're selling the right stuff. Really check sold prices, and really look into your photos, your descriptions, your not your tags, your titles. Really pack those titles with keywords. Make sure your photos are on point. If you can, make sure that you're one of the lowest sellers. Now, I'm not saying that's the right thing to do all the time. Like, if it's a really obscure item, like rare item or something like that, shoot for the moon if you want. But what I'm talking about is if it's a fairly general item and there's loads and loads of them on there, either price competitively or in line with a lot of the other sellers so that then you can get that quicker sale. Obviously, if that is viable for you to do, depending on how much you paid for the item. And don't just like blatantly undersell it. I'm talking about matching other people. But what I'm saying is if you've got 100 board games on there and yours is listed the highest and there's loads of other people like, a few quid below you, you're not really going to sell it. It's just going to sit for a while, in my opinion. So you need to be matching the competitors, and obviously with the eBay auctions, once you get a bid, once you've got your bid, that's it. It's sold. So obviously when you change your store over from eBay auctions to Buy It Now, it's gonna be a lot slower. I mean, just as if I switched over all my eBay items now to auctions, it would be crazy the level of turnover I'd get. I mean, as long as I priced fairly accordingly, fairly on point, it'd be really good, the turnover. So it's just vice versa, really. The opposite of that, you're gonna see it slower. There are pros and cons to Buy It Now and auction. It's all down to price point. Yeah, there's gonna always be pros and cons of Buy It Now, and always of pros and cons of auction. It's just how it is, really. I did it in Jam. My sales are down, but my income is better. You need lots of stock too. I try to be the lowest Buy It Now on most. Seems to work. Yeah, I mean, there's times that you shouldn't be the lowest Buy It Now, or well, not necessarily shouldn't, but it suits you better if you're not the lowest Buy It Now. As I said, in terms of rare items, because you're shooting yourself in the foot if you put something on that's a rare item that's not even listed, and you put it on for a tenner, and you've seen that international sales have been going for like 80, 90 quid. You're shooting yourself in the foot. But you need to think about when it's right to price fairly low and when it's right to price a little bit higher. It's what works for you. I prefer to sell fewer items, holding out for better profit margin as I'm time limited. That's a good point, Louise. Yeah. Lucy, oh yeah, not if it's rare. Yeah, definitely. Move away from items that everybody else has, i.e. video games. Yeah. I prefer to flip quickly rather than sitting on stock. The problem with Buy It Now is you are kind of going to be sitting on stock. I mean, you don't have to be. If you get the right items on Buy It Now, they'll go really quickly. But if you don't have the right items, or maybe a few items that are a bit slower sellers, on Buy It Now, you're really going to find that it's just slower than auctions, As I say, unless you can really hit that price point. But yeah, generally, Buy It Now is more build an inventory of some level, and then you have a sell-through rate based on that inventory, and if you've got if you've got really quick items like video games, things like that, your sell-through rate's going to be higher. And if you've got slower selling items, your sell-through rate's going to be lower. But on auction, it's kind of like you don't really have much of an inventory. It's just kind of like you're flipping it every week. You're just flipping that over, and then you're buying more stock, and then you're flipping it. And I do like that method. But the one thing that I explained before is the reason I've not done that method. I mean, I would do it. I really would. I think it is a good method. It's a good, solid method if you can get the stock. But the reason I've not done it, as of yet, is because of the packing. For me, I could not pack God knows how many items that are going out on auction every week. I wouldn't care if something sold for maybe 6-7 quid and I was doing it on volume. But the only drawback to me with that method, for me personally, is the packing. So that's why I've not done it sooner. But I think it's a great method, if you can get those bids and you can start at a decent price. And yeah, I just think it is a really decent method to go down, a decent route to go down. But you need to be able to get that stock week on week, or else your whole business is slowed down. Or the other side of it really is you need to be setting a decent price point, or I mean, there is a fear of like everything going at buy it now if you set it at buy it now. Phoebe says Darren will do your packing ads. He loves it. Before the recent slowdown in sales, was selling one item a day on 100 listings. Now up to 400 listings, but only selling an average of 2 a day. Oh. Yeah, I mean, that doesn't seem in line, does it? I mean, you'd think 200 listings you'd be selling 2 a day. But yeah, since I've been doing listing the last few days, really found sales have improved. I did over 200 quid yesterday, which for me is decent for me. For my business, I don't care what anyone else's business is. For my business, my my sell-through rate, my turnover level, that's decent for me. Over 200 quid in May on a Sunday, that's decent. In fourth quarter, 200 quid would be a standard, almost every day. But like for in May, 200 quid on one day, I was happy with that. That was good. And I'm way up turnover-wise this May from last May. I think I've doubled it, so I'm very close to doubling it, so I'm happy with that. I'll probably double it by the end of the month if I haven't already. But, that's fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it's been great, the last few days, and it's just about that listing. If your sales are slow, just keep that listing. Just keep the listing going. And you'll find the sales should increase, sort of in line with that. May take a little while for it to kick in, have a knock-on effect, but you just need to keep that listing going. But yeah, I mean, last few days, like, Saturday was about 150, and Friday, it was either Saturday was 174, and Friday was 150, or Friday was 174 and Saturday was like 150. I have a minimum target, if you don't know, of 100 quid a day, so that's like 3k a month. This month I've done just over that, which I'm happy with. But yeah, I mean, last 3 days, it's really picked up again. Hopefully I can keep some more, some retained consistency through June and July, because I feel June to about, all of June and then July up until the very end can be quite slow. So if I can get through them months with some good, decent turnover level, better than last year, then we're happy. We're sailing then, because then it's just the ramp up to fourth quarter really then. And hopefully I'll see a progressive ramp up from October, November, and then to December again like I did last year. So yeah, really happy with that. But I'll sign off now anyway. Yeah, Darren says, yeah, £100 a day is my aim too. Any more is a bonus, any less puts me in a mood. It does me. I've had I think I've had a couple of days. I think I've only actually had 3 days this month, or 4 days this month, where I've been at like 50, 60, 70 quid. I've not had a day without sales. I very, very rarely have a day without sales, which, I shouldn't really have a day without sales for my inventory size. I've got 1,800 items or so between both platforms. But yeah, I did about 50, 60 quid on a few days, and I was really annoyed. I get annoyed. Yeah, anyway, I'll sign off now. Thanks for joining me. I hope that was a fairly decent chat. I hope you got something out of it. And yeah, what was I going to say? We've got, Kaching Club next Wednesday. What else? Oh yeah, I'll do a sales update. That was the thing. I need to do a sales update, so I'll do that. That's what I wanted to say. I think there might be something with my Bluetooth. I have my Bluetooth on my phone, right, when I've been doing live streams. And I don't know whether that messes up the live stream a bit. Now, I can't see any reason why it would, but every time I've had the Bluetooth on my phone when I've been doing a live stream, it's been messing up. So, I don't know whether it's anything to do with the Bluetooth. I haven't a clue, but I've turned it off now, and it's been fine. So, touch wood in the last couple of minutes. But it's been fine, so I don't know whether the Bluetooth has any issue with it. I don't have a clue. Cheers, lads. Before you go, please ask my wife, Debbie, to make me a coffee. Debbie, make Aiden a coffee, will ya? She won't listen to me. Best get wrapping, I'd see you later. I know. Oh, wrapping. Oh. Yeah, anyway, it's all. I mean, I'm fine. I actually really enjoy packing when I've got, as I say, 5 or 10 items. Maybe even 12, 13 items. But when you've got double that, it's like, oh my god, I can't be bothered with this. But you just got to get it done. It's my job, I can't, I just can't do anything about it. I've got to do it. There's no one else going to step in, so I've got to do it. So yeah, that's that anyway. I'll just quickly go. Looking forward to the Kaching Club. Oh, thanks, Phoebe. Yeah, should be quite good. We've got a few big news stories that hit this month, actually, I believe. So, yeah, should be quite a nice one, to talk about that. And I've had a better month in April. April was terrible for me. But, I mean, on a lot of days, I didn't even hit the 100 quid. I'll be quite honest, I didn't even hit the 100 quid, and I was really, really annoyed. Oh, there we go, another sale. Find It, a contained adventure. Original Find It game. You've received £12 from someone, because I'm not going to say the name. Yeah, so, what was I going to say? So, yeah, last month was really bad for me, so it'll be nice to talk about on the Kaching Club that I've actually had a decent month in May. So, and like any, I don't make a lot of money from YouTube, but any money that I get from YouTube and affiliates, I don't actually assess that on a monthly basis. Well, I do assess it on a monthly basis, but I don't include it in my monthly P&L. I include it at the end of the year when I do my yearly profit and loss account. So that is all a bonus, like, added on. The 100 to 300 quid or whatever it'll be this year. So that's always nice to get that little bonus added on at the end of the year. So that's quite. So I always have that in the back of my mind. I've got a little bit of money from that as well each month, which is nice. So if I have a really slow month, at least I've got a tiny portion of money that comes from this as well. It's a nice little thought. It's never gonna make me rich, but it's a nice little trickle, bit of money. So I bet you would. I'd never tell anyone to wrap stuff, Phoebe. I bet you would, Darren. Only my stuff. Right, I'll leave it. Oh, actually, I wanted to make a few other people admins, but one sec. Let me. Gonna make David an admin up here. Where's he gone? Well, there he is. Right, I'm gonna make David an admin because. Don't block there. Right, is David an admin now? Should be an admin. One sec, let me just... Sorry about this, Oh, there he is, he's an admin. He's an admin. I just need a couple more admins just in case, Right, so I've got 3 admins now. So that should be okay. Right, anyway, I'll leave it there, guys. Thank you for watching. We've got 26 people watching. Please do leave it a big thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. And I will see you on I keep it Sunday today. It's Monday, isn't it? Yeah, I'll probably see you Sunday. I'll probably see you Thursday for Thursday Talks. Might see you a little bit sooner if I get a decent haul from the charity shops tomorrow. So yeah, see you very soon, guys. Thanks for watching.